Welcome to State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. The State of Wellbeing is a holistic well-being podcast with the goal of supporting the campus community as we strive to be a growing, high-performing, and healthy university.
Welcome to the State of Wellbeing podcast. My name is Kevin Sackreiter. I am the Executive Director for the Center for Professional Enrichment and Teaching Excellence here at South Dakota State University, and I'm excited to have you join us for our podcast series focusing on the Student Success Network and student success in general at South Dakota State University. This series allows us to engage with those offices that are a part of the Student Success Network and those offices that support student success here at South Dakota State. And today I'm really excited to have Keena Melville, Program Director of Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm excited to have this conversation. This is one that I've been looking forward to probably since you arrived on campus about a year ago, maybe a little less.
No, it's like 5 months.
Only 5 months. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I've been looking forward to it for 5 months, and I had heard of your arrival prior to you coming. And so a chance to kind of dig in on this conversation and talk about how your work supports the success of our students here at South Dakota State. And so why don't we just hand the ball over to you and let you talk a little bit about the Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services here at SDSU, the work that you do, what exactly that involves, and just kind of let you start the conversation.
Yeah, that sounds great. So first of all, I just want to thank Paul and Maria Wintrode and their son Lucas. So obviously the center is named after Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services. So I like to give a little bit of background, but Paul and Maria Wintrode donated a substantial sum of money for this program to get off the ground. And so Lucas P. Wintrode is Paul and Maria's son, and he is autistic, and they want to help autistic individuals like Lucas. So I just want to always thank them. I'm very grateful for their generosity. And basically, our office right now serves Jack Rabbits who may be on the spectrum or identifies being on the spectrum with or without a formal diagnosis. I'm really proud that we serve students that may not have a formal diagnosis. There's so many autistic adults who have been missed if they needed, let's say, less supports in school, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't struggling or masking and needing more supports. So this population has a lot of misdiagnosed, and some might be completely missed. So our office really helps students. So we have various things going on this semester. I'm super proud of what we're doing. We offer one-to-one coaching for individualized goal setting and troubleshooting around those goals and accountability. We also have group workshops on common topics. So some of those topics might be organization, planning, time management, stress management. So a lot of there are higher rates of anxiety and depression amongst this population. So we definitely like to also support them in these areas and point them to resources like the counseling center if needed. And so we're also something around stress management that I'm super excited about this semester is that we're offering a VR meditation series, so virtual reality. And I think that is going to be awesome.
I'm so curious what that looks like. Are we talking about like Oculus type headsets?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we are fortunate enough to have a VR lab on campus. So I connected with some of the people who work over there, and we just coordinated dates of when I could go over there with some of the students and we're going to put our VR headsets on, and they're, and they, there's different kind of platforms that you can use for a meditative experience. So we're just going to kind of experiment and see how that goes. But I think it'll be a great way for people to just unplug and de-stress for maybe 20 minutes. We also are doing this semester an autistic culture and pride club. So that's something I'm excited about because I want to talk about what is autistic culture. Is it a culture? And how do we want to be represented? Do we want to make our own flag instead of having an autism flag that was already created? And also, what do we want the community to know? Because lots of times autistic individuals may not be considered when classes are being designed or when activities are being organized and structured. So kind of our opportunity to be a little bit more vocal and what we need support in or how things can be a little bit more inclusive.
It would seem to me like there'd be a lot of excitement around the idea of creating that culture that represents oneself and starting to share that with the campus community.
And there is. A lot of the students are really excited. We have our first meeting on Friday, January 31st. So, and then we have about 2 meetings a month. And anybody who is on the spectrum, formally or self-diagnosed, if you want to come and join in on those meetings and discussions, please feel free to contact me. Just to give you my info early, my email is Kathleen, Kathleen, .Melville, MELVILLE, at sdstate.edu. It's going to be really cool. We're also going to plan some events. Like, do we want to make a float for the Hobo Day Parade?
I think everybody needs to make a float for the Hobo Day Parade, right?
I think so too.
Yeah. Lots of candy too. My kids will be standing there expecting lots of candy.
Yes, absolutely. We promise.
Awesome.
And we also offer like social Q&A. So if anybody has any social questions, they can ask us and we'll discuss it and figure things out.
Awesome. So you've kind of already answered one of the questions I've been thinking about, but it really relates to connecting students to the SDSU community. And you've talked a little bit about your ability to connect them to other services here on campus, but then also things like the Hobo Day Parade and representing oneself. But I didn't know if you maybe wanted to expand on how you intentionally try to connect the students that you get the opportunity to work with the SDSU community.
Absolutely. So this is a huge focus for us to build community and build belonging within SDSU. So we have multiple dimensions of this. We have peer mentors that are a part of our program. So plugging people into people that they may not have known otherwise. And this way we're educating the peer mentors and as well, which hopefully they can become advocates for this community. And we have a lot of other ways that we're doing that. So I think also connecting the students with each other, because I have heard that one of the students said last semester that I'm happy this program exists because I was lonely last year. So the nature of autism at times can, people might not be out at certain social events. They might, either sensory differences or maybe just a little scared, whatever it is. But so connecting this community with each other is a huge focus for us.
Well, I would think that knowing that you're not on your journey, whatever your journey is, know that you're not on your journey alone has a lot of value, and enhances self-efficacy, and just, I think, really has benefits to
Absolutely. And the research shows that a lot of autistic adults have, greater instances of anxiety, depression, low confidence. So I feel like bridging this community to each other and to the community at large can help to combat some of that. Especially, we want to build community and culture, and then we want to have that pride. We want to be proud of ourselves. Sure. And kind of do the reverse of the low confidence, because there's so much that this community has to offer, and we really just need to get out of the way and that can take form in a variety of ways. But also, March 27th, I did want to talk about we're going to be talking with Dr. Shelley Baer, talking about autistic culture, and that's going to be a part of her community events. So you might see little flyers on the campus, around campus, promoting that event. But the Autism Culture and Pride group is kind of going to lead up to that, where our discussion, we're going to talk about that meeting. The students are going to be on a panel, and they're going to be talking about their lived experiences and maybe how others can support their success. Sure. So I'm really excited about that and connecting to the community in that way.
Well, that might be a really good transition to an area I really wanted to spend a few minutes talking about, and that was the idea of our students in all kinds of different experiences here at SDSU, but where those frustration points lie, maybe for students. You mentioned already classes maybe not being designed for the autistic learner, and I'm guessing that's probably right up there on the list of frustrations, but I did want to ask what maybe some of those frustrations were, and you talked about building community and working towards that event on March 27th, but what are some of those frustrations, I guess, that maybe the students you serve do experience on the daily, both at SDSU here in Brookings, and how does your office help those students navigate those frustrations?
So, research also shows that autistic college students are more likely to drop out than their peers. So that could be for a variety of reasons. It could be around the lack of support, or maybe their parent was their biggest advocate in like K to 12, and then you come here and maybe they don't have the advocacy skills. It could be like a loss of modifications, which a lot of students who are here, they go through the Office of Disability Services, which is amazing, and they get their accommodations. And then when they're in class, they might not have access to any modifications or tools that they are used to having access to. And even those who are not formally diagnosed, so they're not going through the Office of Disability Services, but they could use some extra support. And I have heard some frustration around not getting that, So I had one student had test anxiety, but extended time would have really helped. Right. So they had to take the class a few times. Sure. Because they weren't able to get the extended time. So little things like that where I just like to promote flexibility in the classroom, and maybe that means flexibility in how students are expressing their learning, and things like that. So there are some academic frustrations.
Well, and I would just echo that idea of flexibility, and our office comes to that from a very general student population experience, but the idea of just being flexible and human about your decision making as a teacher, instructor, advisor, staff member, and just appreciating each individual's experience. And there isn't necessarily that one size fits all. And I love that you're kind of promoting that same idea of compassion, empathy, flexibility in our teacher learner kind of experience. I think that's so important.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. And then there are other frustrations, just, it could be social frustrations that they might need support around. Maybe they're not totally understanding content in classes. It could be the pressure of having multiple assignments due at the same time, and maybe not having the executive functioning that will help you line up when you're going to do what and what to do when. So we try to provide those services as well. And as far as executive functioning, we also have Julia Walker from the Counseling Center comes in sometimes. She's going to be a part of the Autism Culture and Pride group as well. And I always love her workshops around mental health and any resources that she can provide or her office can provide is available to the students, and just having them know that.
Well, that might be a really good transition into kind of the overarching theme of this podcast series, and that being well-being. And I think you already started to navigate that conversation here a little bit, but I'm going to be very direct and just ask, from a well-being perspective, what types of opportunities does your office offer to support the mental, physical, emotional well-being of autistic students here at SDSU?
Sure. Something I'm very excited about this semester, Dr. Jeb Bastian, who is in nutrition and dietetics, we're working together on a pilot of his dissertation project, which was building a curriculum all about nutrition and exercise for young people. So this semester we have Dr. Bastian and one of his graduate students teaching that curriculum to our students on Wednesdays from 5 to 6:30. So students will have the opportunity to they're going to actually have cooking classes. Wow. Yeah, in the Wagner Cafe. We're really grateful. And a little bit of exercise. And then there's like game-based lessons. So they might be playing Family Feud, but so it'll be fun and nutrition-based. So that's something physical. I'm also really excited, not this semester, but fall 2025, Dr. Allison Barry from Exercise Science and some of her students from the Exercise Science Club reached out and are offering some fitness instruction actually for anybody who wants to partake in that in our group. And it's also including any physical adaptations that they may need or so I'm very excited about all of that. And the emotional, I think, building that sense of belonging is super helpful. Also, normalizing autistic burnout and how to recover from it. I think that's something that's very common, where perhaps a student maybe they're masking. So that takes a lot of energy to mask and pretend that you're not what you are. And so that on top of trying to, be present in the classroom and learning is super challenging. And so there's a high rate of burnout. And what can we do to prevent the burnout? But then if the burnout does happen, then how can we recover? I think that's something that is really important. And then we also trying to create programs that they can comfortably participate in. So we have Julia Walker and I are doing these Introverts Unite meetings once a month. And then our office has quiet parties and like different types of workshops. I had one student say to me last semester that they like coming to workshops because there's no pressure to talk and they can be around other people like them. And I just thought that was beautiful.
That is. Expand on the concept of a quiet party for those of us who might not be familiar with that term.
Sure. I think we made it up, so that's why. Probably nobody's familiar with it. So a quiet party would basically be a gathering of people, and maybe they are participating in whatever maybe their special interest is, or some kind of hobby. Sure. It could be, it could be knitting, it could be reading a book, it could be watching a video with your earplugs. So basically just getting together and being together, but being quiet. Sure. So just kind of thinking about the different sensory needs of certain students and how we can offer different kinds of social experiences where they're not overwhelmed and overstimulated.
That sounds like an incredible opportunity. I love that.
You are invited.
Oh, awesome. So just an incredible resource here on our campus. And I can't believe it's only been 5 months, but I'm so excited that you're a part of our campus community and that the Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Service exists. And so I wanted to give you another opportunity to maybe share that contact information again for people who are listening and maybe want to reach out and get more information.
Yes. I also, I'm so excited to do this podcast because I know there's more autistic students on campus. So please reach out to me. We have great services. We also offer scholarships per semester. So my nickname's Keena. That's why I'm Keena, but my email is Kathleen, KATHLEEN .Melville, MELVILLE at sdstate.edu.
Well, I would just add that if anyone has trouble connecting through the email address, reach out to the Wellbeing team where this podcast is housed on the SDSU website, and we certainly would be able to assist in making that connection for individuals as well. And so as we wrap up, you mentioned an event coming up on March 27th, and I wanted to give you a chance to maybe promote that event or any other events that you have upcoming that you wanted to share with the campus community as we kind of near the end of our time together here.
Thank you so much. So the community meetings, so it's March 27th. It's called Let's Talk About Autistic Culture. And I and Julia Walker are going to be there. We're going to have a panel of students, and it's going to be in the Student Union 262 A and B, Lewis and Clark, and it's going to be 12 to 1:15. So that's hosted by OMAA and the School of Education and Human Sciences. Stay tuned for Autism Celebration Week. I think we're going to work on that in our Pride, Autism Culture and Pride Club. So I don't really have the information on that yet because I didn't create it and I want them to. But we'll put up signs and stuff, and you can email me if you have any questions. And then, we're also offering Glean workshops, really cool assistive technology. One of the grad assistants is offering probably like 5 to 7 Glean workshops. So even if you're not in the autism community, you are welcome to come. So just reach out for the dates and times.
Thank you for sharing that. And I would just make the offer as well that if there was ever opportunities to share things with faculty and staff, we could certainly assist through our Center for Professional Enrichment and Teaching Excellence newsletter and getting that information out as well. And so faculty and staff who might be listening, maybe look for those things in there as well, if we can make that happen. So I just want to thank you again, Keena, for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the SDSU community and the great resource that you provide to the students of South Dakota State University. I also want to wrap us up by thanking those of you who are listening to the State of Wellbeing podcast, sponsored by the SDSU Wellbeing team. And once again, I want to thank Keena for joining us, and I want to thank all of you for listening and wish you nothing but the best of the remainder of your semester. And as always, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. This podcast is brought to you by the Mental Wellbeing Team and SD State Health.